It's $2.
Right down that shopping
I noticed you like to act tough. My friend Lim told me he had you gripping those sheets last night.
Come on, man. Bro, why you laughing at that, man? Bro, why you doing me like that?
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. Timestamps are down in the description box below, or you can go directly to the pinned comment section if you're lazy. So, what do we have on the tap for today? I think we have some interesting stories, very related to AEW. So, Dave Meltzer has officially had enough. He's not going to take it anymore, goddammit. You keep putting his name through the mud. He has to defend himself at some point. Bully Ray goes out of his way to piss off a bunch of AEW fanboys, but more in particular, Ricochet. Chris Jericho has finally decided where he stands in this bidding war between AEW and WWE that only exists in the fans' heads. And Wade Barrett and Nikki Bella, apparently they have a struggle that is not really a struggle, that did not contribute to Wade Barrett leaving commentary. We'll get to that in a little bit. That sounds crazy when I'm saying that out loud if you're not aware. We'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to kick it off with Dave Meltzer. He's done. He's goddamn done, and he's not taking it anymore, damn it. So let's kick it off with that. God damn it. Right, so it starts off with this, right? And I'm going to need you guys to probably look at your screen if you want to follow along, because there's no videos when it comes to this little battle, but this is still fucking hilarious, right? So Wrestle Talk put out this little excerpt from the Kurt Angle Undertaker podcast that they had, right? Undertaker on the 6 Feet Under podcast. He was interviewing Kurt Angle, right? And Kurt Angle said this: I think now it's a lot of high flying and acrobatic, and these guys are showing their athleticism. They're not showing, like, their working ability, psychology. I mean, the guys do sell, but a lot of times I see somebody that just took a devastating move and comes up and doesn't sell it. It's like, whoa, that's not how it's supposed to be. I think that we're losing sight of where wrestling should be. Now, pretty innocuous point, right? I think most people, for the most part, if you're above the age of 12, would probably agree with that, right? So then Dave Meltzer chimes in after Wrestle Talk were posting this, right? Dave Meltzer chimed in. He said, please know, 23 years ago when I was telling everyone how great Kurt was, the smart fans and older wrestlers, aside from Flair, were constantly doing, he's a great athlete, but he's going too fast and has no psychology. By the way, they used to say that about Shawn. Definitely said it about Flair. Lived through this for 4 generations. While there is truth in some of what he is saying, please, older guys, learn the perspective of history. Farmer Burns said it about Stretcher. Everyone said it about Sonnenberg. Later, about Rogers. So, again, Dave Meltzer on this complete... Now, this is pretty, tame for Meltzer, right? You may say to yourself, well, Dave Meltzer, he's one of those people where it's like he has to, stay within the wrestling scope today. Like, it's nothing bad. Dave Meltzer just wants to hang around with the kids. Hello, fellow kids. My name is Dave Meltzer. Don't you know I'm one of you? Don't ignore the cane and ignore the wheelchair. I'm Dave Meltzer, and I'm one of you guys. So, yeah, typically that wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? Dave Meltzer, he just says a lot of shit in order to stay relevant with the people who are talking about professional wrestling nowadays. So check this out. This fan chimes in, right? He says, so, you were telling everyone how great he was 23 years ago? Okay, so let's see how good your prediction was. So, how many 5-star matches has he had? Which is something that's kind of an ongoing thing within the IWC, if you don't know what he's talking about. It's this whole thing where Kurt Angle has yet to get a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer. It has been an asterisk next to Dave Meltzer's name in regards to how people typically come after him and his star system and his whole rating chart bullshit. Because it's like, if you can't give Kurt Angle a 5-star rating in any of his matches, then what good is your star system, or what good is your judgment? It makes no sense, right? So then Dave Meltzer clapped back with this little gem right here. He said, God damn, are you stupid? He had as many 4-star matches, which is what you should look at, as almost anyone from his generation. Was voted into the Hall of Fame, the one we're voting, in-ring wrestler of the decade. And yes, I wrote about this and his ability while others did the no psychology. works too fast bullshit that I knew from the legacy of Ric Flair, how 20 years later he'd be viewed as one of the all-time greats. So Dave Meltzer has had enough. I've never heard Dave Meltzer deliberately actually insult fans before. Now, it's his right. I personally see what people say about Dave Meltzer, and honestly, I probably say what took you so goddamn long, right? But it's just the inconsistent beliefs in regards to what you're saying and why it calls into question your integrity when judging this kind of shit. So you hear Kurt Angle say what he says, you get pissed off because Kurt Angle essentially said what everybody else has been saying who doesn't reside within your psychology of wrestling, Meltzer. And after actually going after Kurt Angle for saying that, right, someone calls you out on your bullshit because, well, you think Kurt Angle is so great, but you don't really rate him all too well in a consistent manner in comparison to the people nowadays, right? And then Dave Meltzer claps back and essentially says, I constantly gave him B's and C's, okay? He's not a failure. He has B's and C's all throughout his report card. I never gave him an A, but he has nothing but straight B's and C's. Also, I made him a Hall of Famer. Okay. Also, I made sure to make it known that he's the best wrestler of the decade. Seriously? Ego? But fine, sure. But do you not hear what you're saying right now? That's what the guy's getting at. So, let me see if I understand this. Using the same metaphor that I just got finished using earlier, right? Are you guys willing to make valedictorian of your high school a person who got nothing but straight B's and C's and not one time in their life got an A? Because that's what Dave Meltzer is essentially saying, right? Buddy has been nothing but just a generic B-plus player, an outright B-plus player, but he's valedictorian. He's a star. Never received an A a day in his fucking life, according to Dave Meltzer, but at the same token, he's the greatest of all time of the decades. Do you not see the inconsistent pattern of what you're actually suggesting here, Dave? You see how retarded you sound right now, right? This is why no one takes you seriously. You're going to sit here and actually judge Kurt Angle as far as psychology goes in ring. You ever thought to yourself that when you were talking about how great Kurt Angle was as far as how fast-paced he was going, Kurt Angle recognized that was a detriment to how it was a detriment to his working style? And he slowed the fuck down. He ignored the advice of what Dave Meltzer suggests wrestling should do nowadays. And when he ignored that, he became even greater. Because even Kurt Angle said it. Kurt Angle said it plenty of times in interviews that he was working way too fast, that he wasn't selling all too much, that he would do moves and he would question, why am I doing that? And he just worked psychology into how he wrestled, and look where it got him. Not just into your stupid Hall of Fame, but into an actual real WWE Hall of Fame. Say what you will about the Hall of Fame, but it has way more prestige than your fucking retarded Hall of Fame. And then once again, you show that you are inconsistent in regards to how you actually judge things. So all these accolades, yet he gets 4 stars, which is the equivalent of a B on a report card. Yet he is considered one of the greats of all. Y'all gonna stop listening to Dave Meltzer. Y'all gonna stop. He's sitting there crashing out, acting like a clown. Buddy, you did it to yourself. No one did it to you. You did it to your fucking self. No one to blame but yourself. But what good would a crash out be if we didn't get all the AEW people all in it together? Because it wasn't just Dave Meltzer crashing out on the AEW side. Check this out. Bully Ray said this: unfortunate, but AEW as a product is lost. There's certainly some bright spots, the talent, but as a company, it lacks definitive direction. Is what it is. A company owned and operated by a fan with lots of money. Tony Khan, good guy, good heart, not a booker. And I quote, the boys know it. Which just completely set off the entire AEW fan base. They went absolutely bonkers, lost their fucking mind. Like, oh my lord, I was actually hoping that Mr. Bully Ray had hopefully hopefully he had a security guard nearby. Like, I hope he had a bulletproof vest on. I hope I don't know, maybe he had like, I don't know, a vagina nearby, something that was a repellent for the AEW fanboys, right? But he wasn't the one that I was more so focused on. As far as the AEW fanboys go, they weren't the ones that I was mainly focused on, right? Now, this one right here actually has, this was a response from Ricochet, because people were actually posting this in response to Bully Ray and another person's tweet, but it's irrelevant because he's not popular or, relevant. I want to focus on Ricochet, right? He said, and the boys knew it. What an ignorant thing to say. Coming from Ricochet, guy who had been told to sit the fuck down before you get AEW more in trouble with their court proceedings, has the audacity to say what an ignorant thing to say. And then he got trolled by a bunch of people. By the way, pot, kettle, meet it. This is called karma, Ricochet. You had some people who were saying things such as, you can't deny it. Y'all know some of the booking he has y'all doing just ain't it. And then he's like, examples? Please show your examples. Data. You sound like me right now. Shut up, nerd. And then another person was like, laugh my ass off. Nobody gives a fuck about your gymnastics shit. You scamming daddy's little billionaire. And then Ricochet said, where do you think Vince got his money to buy his dad's company? Well, can I just chime in there for a second, Ricochet? Investors saving. If you know anything about the story of Vince McMahon and his dad, you would know that his dad did not want to sell him the company. But sure, you cook there, buddy. I want you to cook, Ricochet. Duh. God, he's cooking so hard. But you know what actually ended up happening when it was all said and done? Ricochet himself ended up crashing out even more. Because after you said that, this person came out of nowhere. They were like, the product currently has the Hurt Syndicate versus GOA and Ricochet feud. I guess they mean the Gates of Agony. FTR versus Edge and Christian feud. MJF versus Briscoe feud. Don Callis family takeover versus Hangman story, as well as Darby versus Death Riders feud. How is it lost? I'm so confused right now. I'm confused. How is it lost? And then Ricochet said, because it's not another Roman versus Seth, or another Punk versus Drew, or another Sheamus versus Miro, or another Seth versus Punk, or another Drew versus Seth. I could keep going. Like, seriously, they will never get it through their thick little skulls, bro. Alright, check it out. You ready for this? You ready for this? No one knows who the fuck the Gates of Agony is. You're following me here? You're following me here? No one, for the most part, knows who the fuck the Briscoes is. Outside of the IWC, being honest here, okay? No one knows pretty much 90% of the Don Callis family. No one is that much aware with the participants within the Death Riders. No one is really that aware of who Darby Allin is. Honestly, for the most part, outside of the IWC, no one's really that aware of who Hangman is. Are you following me here? The people that are known are, you guessed it, Moxley, Edge, and Christian. Why are they known? Because of the stories and the feuds and what they participated in when they were in WWE. Now, are you following me here? Right, Ricochet, you following me here? People pay money. Now, mind you, this is not me saying it. This is your homeboy, MJF, who also chimed in on Bully Ray, but I can't find his tweet anywhere, or then again, I am lazy as fuck. This was your boy, MJF, not even 2 days ago, okay, going after Ronda Rousey, rightfully so, suggesting that this is a business. You know how business works? You put on people that are recognizable. That's what happened, okay? Roman and Seth, people want to buy and see because they're popular and known. Punk and Drew, people want to buy and see because they're popular and known. Sheamus and Miro, I will give you that, but I feel like you just retconned that inside, out of nowhere because you needed something to take WWE down with. But then also the same can be said about Seth versus Punk and Drew versus Seth. You're bringing up some of the biggest stars in WWE currently going on today, and you're comparing this to the Gates of fucking Agony, the Don Callis family. Are you stupid? Are you dumb, or are you stupid? Right? Like, what are you doing right now, bro? What are you doing right now? Hear yourself. See how much of a mark you sound like. There goes that word again. I said I was going to stop using this towards the wrestlers, but it's Ricochet. I hardly consider him a wrestler. Like, the things you guys say, you wonder why you're so out of the fucking loop and why everybody clowns your dumbass company. It's because of takes like that. And mind you, wrestling's in a dead period, in my opinion, for WWE also. I just find it funny that these are your go-to examples. It just shows you why you belong in AEW and why you never belonged in WWE to begin with, because your whole concept of who puts on the great matches, which, by the way, everybody today puts on great matches. It just depends. And it's not even a depend thing. That's why you guys also fell. You take on the great matches and you do it so much that it doesn't even stand out on pay-per-views for it to be discernible enough for us to actually gauge whether or not it's good or if it's bad. So there you go with that, Ricochet. Hopefully I explained that to you. Bully Ray is right. You guys are clowns. And go skibbity yourself in Minecraft, little bro. And eat my ass while you're at it. So apparently Chris Jericho has allegedly made up his mind as far as where he wants to go. Does he want to stay with AEW? Does he want to go with WWE? You know, it's the old Clash song, right? Should I stay or should I go? Well, apparently Jericho has finally made up his mind, at least for now. So take it away, Y2J.
The best thing that can happen in wrestling is AEW, and the fact that there's two huge promotions that you can choose from just makes it better for the guys, it makes it better for the fans and everybody in between. So I'm not going anywhere for a while. I'm still with AEW for right now. Would I go back to WWE? I wouldn't be opposed to it. We'll just have to see what happens. But the best thing that could happen is you have two great teams that you can play for, and that just makes everything bigger and more exciting.
Also, just to let you guys know, I did get this clip from that Denise Salcedo lady. She was like actually a part of that video, but she was just pretty much introducing the video. It originally came from the Daily Mail, but I didn't want to keep her in the intro because she's fucking cringe and, like, I don't know, she just annoys the fuck out of me, so I cut her out of the video. But this is the portion that you need to focus on. But to be fair, Denise actually posted it, so if you want to go show her some love, go ahead and do it. I just didn't want her in the video because I don't want her in the fucking video. Again, she's cringe. Nevertheless, though, back to Jericho. So he made his choice. Now, if you ask me, I'm gonna be a little bit of a I'm a little bit suspicious. Now, I could be wrong, right? I could very much be wrong. This is only coming from the noodle brain of Devontae, right? The noodle brain of Millennial Smark. Do I believe that WWE most likely gave Jericho an option? Now, obviously, they can't court him right now, right? They can't do any of those things from a contract standpoint because obviously that'd be against the law. But I can't help but think that Jericho did put out some fillers and he probably got back to WWE and they probably told him what they wanted him to do. And maybe Jericho just didn't feel it. Now, again, this is not proven. Do not take this and do not run with this. This is strictly coming from my own brain. Because it's just weird for Jericho to throw out fillers like that. Allegedly, it was him that said that, hey, I wanted to see how WWE was feeling about me returning, right? This was only just a couple of months ago, or a couple of weeks ago. And now all of a sudden he doesn't want to go back. All of a sudden he wants to stay with AEW. His prerogative. Hey, yo, get that bag, bro. Whoever is providing you with the most relaxed schedule and at the same time you can get that bag, I don't fault you for anything whatsoever. I just find it weird that you just did such a complete 360 out of nowhere. I mean, hey, we'll see when the time comes. His contract is still yet to expire, so we'll see. But I do think that maybe WWE probably told Jericho, maybe not directly, because again, I think that's illegal, but maybe Jericho figured out what he was most likely going to end up doing going back to WWE, and he probably wasn't feeling it. Right? It could be as simple as maybe Jericho thought to himself, hey, let me wait this out and see what actually happens with what AEW is going to provide for him. It could be that too. But I do think for some reason, I just got a sneaky inclination that it happens to be the first one, that he probably figured out what he was going to do didn't like in a comparison to what AEW probably figured they were going to end up having him doing, throughout the last duration periods of his career. And maybe Jericho just probably thought to himself, hey, I'm good where I'm at if that's what WWE wants me to do. I'm good where I'm at if this is what WWE wants to pay me versus what Tony's going to pay me right now. I mean, he's getting older. Got to make more wiser decisions, right? So, all the best in the world to Jericho if this is what he's actually going to stick his mind to. I wish he'd come back to WWE. I feel like they will use him a lot better. But it is what it is, man. Pipe dream, right? Pipe dream. We have one more thing to talk about, and then we're going to end up getting our asses out of here. And I feel like this one is a banger, so stay tuned.
What's your nationality? I'm Palestinian. From Palestine. Yes, sir. It's a war out there, man.
Okay, so there was this whole story going on, right? That was unbeknownst to me. I didn't even know that this was going on, and I'm happy I didn't know it was going on because I probably would have reported on it or said something about it. And I'm happy that I did not wait, and it was more so me not knowing that it was going on. So I can't really put myself in that category of waiting and seeing. I was going to probably jump directly on it because that's just the kind of guy I am, and I need to stop doing that shit, but I probably won't. We'll see, though. I don't know. It depends how much I take this seriously, which I don't take this seriously. But apparently Wade Barrett was here, I'll read it from Wrestle Pierce. Wade Barrett will be off the road going forward. He will not be calling Raw. Some have asked if this is a fallout of Barrett's comments about Nikki Bella at the Clash in Paris event pre-show, but it's not confirmed that is the case. It's coming from Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Now, to be fair, from my understanding, I could have sworn I heard a report. I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't really feel it was anything special. I like the actual ongoing rivalry with Nikki and Wade Barrett that ended up being a complete nothing burger, right? Which this ended up being actually too in its own right, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But from my understanding, Nikki and Wade kind of sorted everything out yesterday or the day before yesterday, maybe. They're on good terms. They're cool. They're homies again. They're banging sets and everything, bro. Banging the same colors, all that good shit, right? So I don't know where they got this from. Mike Johnson, I mean, this is kind of your job to follow this shit. I don't know why you would think after hearing that Nikki Bella and Wade Barrett kind of sorted everything out that this had anything to do with the comments. Maybe he thought that WWE went after Wade Barrett or whatever. I mean, again, I doubt that too. I mean, no one really took offense to this but Nikki. So it's like, I don't know what made him say that or why he came to that conclusion. But nevertheless, though, everybody was like sending like tribute posts and we need to have a, think Wade Barrett Day or, people put on appreciation posts for Wade Barrett and all this other cringy lame shit, right? When in actuality, that was not the case because Wade Barrett himself went out of his way to debunk all of this. And I quote, "I usually ignore BS reports like this, but it's causing needless hate to be spewed towards people I work with. WWE have kindly given me a couple of weeks off for personal time, booked 9 months ago, and then I'm back to business as usual. A complete non-story. The end." Which I'm pretty sure he's most likely, because again, this Mike guy from PW Insider is a complete dumbass. Like I said, I probably would have jumped the gun and talked about this also, but there's no way, with no fucking evidence, am I going to say that, oh, it's Nikki Bella that's doing this. She's the reason why. Especially when I found out, like, not even, maybe like an hour or two later after posting that video with Nikki and Wade that they made up already. Maybe a couple hours later. But still, though, my point being is, how am I not? I'm not a reporter. You're the reporter, right? You should know this before I do. Yet we both know about it. And well, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe you don't know about it, which is calls into question your job. I know about this. I just didn't talk about it because I thought it was boring. And even if I would have just neatly sent hate to Nikki Bella. Now, again, I think Nikki is a drama queen. I think Nikki's a bit of a fucking crybaby. But at the same time, though, to just blatantly say something so carelessly where now she's probably getting mobbed in her DMs or some shit like that from a bunch of crazed psychopath fans who are already known to be crazed and psychopath before this, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty reckless. Like, I hope he actually came out and said something, like an apology or something along the lines of that. Because it's like, it's one thing to speculate. It's fine to speculate. Nothing wrong with speculation. But you have to make it be known that it's all speculation, my boy. To just come right out and then just say that some have asked if this is the fallout of Barrett's comments about Nikki Bella, when it's already been put out there that Nikki Bella and him already made out. Oh, worked it out. Actually, that sounded kind of sexy too. No, wait, pause. I'm just saying, bro. Like, look, I make mistakes all the fucking time. I'm man enough to come out, delete the video, say, hey, I was being a dumbass. Or maybe I'll just come out and say that, hey, I misconstrued the facts. Do these people ever do that? I feel like they never do that, right? And if they do it, it's some bullshit like lackadaisical, we got this wrong. And then they move on to the next topic without going into depth about how they got something wrong. Like, I will see people like Dave Meltzer or even someone like a Sean Ross Sapp go out of their way to apologize for falsely reporting on something. And I don't know, I feel like it's really disingenuous because they never really go into depth as to what they got wrong. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that I got a halo over my head or that I'm self-righteous or that I'm the bee's fucking knees. But like, whenever I fuck up and someone lets me know that I fuck up, I highlight their comments, right? I give it hearts, I pin it, I give a community post highlighting their comments so everybody can see it if it's that detrimental. I delete a video, I make another video talking about how bad that video was. Like, why is it me, some lowly guy with pretty much a small channel, has the integrity to do something like that? God, I feel like I'm fucking patting myself on the back, but I'm not. I'm just giving an example. I promise you, I sound cocky as fuck. This sounds cringe with me saying this about myself, but I'm just giving an example, okay? Why am I this lowly of a channel, this lowly of a person, being able to do something like that, but you guys, you know, you either don't say anything, or again, your comments just come off like, you know, like, I don't know, like some shit you would see, like someone saying we took back the statements, but it's like 20 paragraphs deep in your news coverage or whatever, right? Whatever article that's being read. You know damn well no one's going to actually go out of their way to see that. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the way they actually, you know, it's one thing to speculate, but if you get it wrong and if it's so egregious enough, you got to come out and you have to apologize and retract the statement. But that's just my thoughts. That's just my opinions. How do you guys feel about the news topics of the day? How do you feel about Wade Barrett and Nikki Bella, you know, pretty much being a nothing burger, and then essentially them saying that Wade Barrett was, you know, kicked off of commentary because of Nikki Bella, when in reality that wasn't the case at all? How do you feel about Chris Jericho staying with AEW? How do you feel about Bully Ray and Ricochet going tit for tat? Well, I mean, it was pretty one-sided, but, you know, that's fine. It's kind of like how Ricochet and his love life is, right? One-sided. Just Samantha's with another man. And we have Dave Meltzer. How do you feel about him finally giving everybody a piece of his mind, because he's like Twisted Sister. We're not gonna take it anymore. All the way down to, you know, the drag queen stuff that he likes to wear around his house. Not spreading rumors. I'm not the Mike guy from PW Insider. Or maybe I am spreading rumors. I don't know. You be the judge of that. But with that being said, as always, my name is Millennial Smark, and I'll be catching you fine folks later. A deuces and a P. Eyes.